Oracles of Olympus. Welcome to Oracles of Olympus, the podcast of all things in miniature wargaming, role-playing, board games, and general nerd culture, all with a taste of cynicism, sarcasm, and nerdy banter. Please join Kyle, Ryan, CJ, and GM Drew as we break down all the stuff. Hello, everybody.
Episode 18, take 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Welcome back.
Which is what Ryan told me to say, just in case you're wondering.
We may have just lost 15 minutes of gold, which you all will never know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right? We talked about a lot of really important things. I think
like
we came
tapped
up...
in a bathtub.
Yeah, we also solved the immigration crisis, but genuinely, I don't feel like going back. So
We brought about world peace, too, man.
It's gone forever.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever.
Yep. Including our discussion of Kyle being like Wild Bill dancing around with chapstick. But I was going to say before I learned we were off air that what?
So just we haven't introduced ourselves in a while, so we might have new listeners.
Oh, that's
who don't
right. We
know
should
our
introduce
voices.
everyone. This is CJ Young.
He doesn't have a nickname.
At all.
And that didn't come up in the original take.
It did, yeah. I will come up with one though. Don't worry.
Actually, that led us down a really weird Inception road. We'll leave that alone. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is where we ended that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You should introduce yourselves.
So I'm Big Swole.
I'm Kyle, and I love you.
And I am your host, kinda.
GM Drew.
GM Drew.
He kind of follows the directions that we have written down.
You're more like a cat wrangler.
Yeah, right? Like,
Yeah.
are you a cat wrangler or a
cat
tard
rancher.
wrangler? Like, it's like half and half.
But anyway,
I'm a nerd herder.
Stop licking that
A
crayon.
scruffy-looking nerd herder.
I just had the idea if you, Kyle, could trap people in the basement of our store, and then you lower army cases down,
Do you ever-
and you just be like, it puts the models in the army
case.
case. It does what it's told.
Right? It's basically just Jesse in the bottom of that hole, too. It always reminds me of, like...
Put the fucking models in
always
the
We
reminds
case.
always
me-
get Jesse in one
Right,
of these.
yeah, right, you know. It reminds me of the South Park where Cartman, like, has kids over and he's like, do you want to play Lambs? Like, and they're like, what? And he brings them to this basement and he's playing Silence of the Lambs and these are kids. And he's got, like, a doll in the bottom of the hole and he's like... he's, like, lowering lotion down to the doll and shit and having conversations. It's really good.
And he's telling his girlfriend, he's like, now you try to put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Yeah. I'm gonna break your fucking dog's leg, mister! Like, welcome
Don't
to
you hurt my dog.
welcome to episode 18, kids. We're legal now.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
can consent.
You can ask Kyle out now.
You can ask me out. I will.
You can't
likely,
statutory rape him, and probably he can't statutory rape you, but...
If
That was
you're
in
not,
the
if you're not at
original
least 18, don't ask me out.
Yeah.
That's official.
Or at least have a good fake ID.
Yeah.
I'm smoking right now.
Are you?
We're 18.
Sure.
And we can buy porn.
Yeah.
Weird porn, like amputee stuff.
That stuff that you have to click when you go to the website.
Yeah, right. Like it asks you for your age again.
Yeah,
It's like, are you sure?
And you're like, this is going to be real good.
Yeah, right.
And then you open it, and you're like, what have I done?
Yeah, right. Like on some level, haven't you like gone down like that really weird road at
Yeah.
one point where you're like, I don't really want to watch this, but I'm gonna try it, and then you're like, God damn it, why did I watch that?
Yeah, you kind of start getting
you
that
can't
nausea
unsee
feeling.
shit.
You're
At
like,
about,
yeah, I
at
can't
about
unsee
like
it.
15 minutes into the rabbit hole, you're like, well,
15
I'm into
minutes
this
in.
now.
Right.
You're like, shit.
Like,
This is something I
like
didn't
when
even
the
know.
first time somebody told me about Two Girls, One Cup, I was like, that sounds dumb. And then like later on in the day, I was like, well, I should at least check it out, right? Like, and then like I watched
don't want to
it.
miss anything.
Yeah, right. I watched it and I was like, why did I do this? I was like, what was I thinking? And it's not that I didn't. Like I watched the whole thing, and it's only like I don't know, like 5 minutes or whatever. But boy, that was rough.
Actually, at today, we had a discussion about messed up websites back in like the early 2000s.
I don't remember it, but I bet we did.
We were talking about like how people got baited into like going to these messed up shock sites.
Oh, like Lemon Party.
Yeah. Where it was like, there's a new political party up and coming. It's called the Lemon Party. Find out more on lemonparty.org. And you're like, oh, and then you go there. And
I should go be an informed voter.
Yeah. You're just like, bleach my eyes.
Bleach my eyes. Why, God? Why?
I did read about a guy recently that thought he was taking his medication and swallowed a bleach tablet. And
what?
Yeah.
How big was his medication? That's first off. Bleach tablets are huge.
Are you sure he swallowed it? It wasn't a suppository?
No, he swallowed it.
Okay.
And he was... Yeah.
It's like the size of a freaking
aimed that at
dishwasher
me.
pod. Like this.
Yeah, it's big. And he just thought he was having an upset stomach, and then his family found him unconscious because it was literally burning away his esophagus and stomach and clotting the tissue.
And that right there, kids, is why I don't always like modern medicine, because sometimes in nature,
that guy should have just gone down the river, Kyle?
Look, I mean I'm
I'm
not really a cold and heartless person, but you know, nature
Are you
has
really
its own
looking
way
up
of
the poison control number?
Yeah, 1-800-222-1222 is the poison control.
Yeah, that's a shitload to remember. Good luck finding that when you're in a panic, guys.
Like, I just swallowed bleach.
Yeah, oopsies. Like, just call 911.
See, they're
going to send the same ambulance no matter who you call.
That shit right there is why we have warning labels on Pop-Tarts.
It is.
I just feel like Mother Nature tries to thin the herd, and we keep stopping her.
Yeah.
And that's probably bad. Do you ever see Idiocracy? Mm-hmm. Right?
It's
so
the
like,
only movie...
Yeah, right? So, like, the opening of Idiocracy is, like, these two smart people who are like, we're just waiting. We're going to wait to have kids, right? And then there's, like, this really dumb as shit dude who's just, like, having sex with a ton of different chicks and like, having, like, 20 kids.
Yeah, she's like, I'm pregnant again. And he's like, God damn it.
Right?
And then it's, like, also he gets his neighbor pregnant.
Yeah, right? Like, he gets a ton of ladies pregnant and has, like, a ton of stupid
And,
kids.
like, it shows his kid, like, on the football team, and he's, like, with all the cheerleaders. He's like, I'm going to follow you tonight.
Yeah, it gets all three of them pregnant.
Yeah.
It's, Jesus.
And then you see the smart couple eventually, like, he dies.
Whoa!
What the
Hold
fuck
on,
was
first
that?
off... I thought a door was creaking open.
I almost sprayed water all over everybody, so I want you to all just take a moment and be appreciative of my superb gag reflex and like mouth control.
I aimed it that way this time.
I appreciate you not aiming it at me again. That was rough.
Are you broken?
No.
That sounded like a balloon getting
those that-
deflated quickly.
For
Not
those
like
that-
the... It was just like...
For those that can't hear, GM Drew is letting out thunderous flatulence on the show in our studio.
Sorry. Low carb diet.
I don't think our mic is that good.
No.
I don't think it is. That's why I had to illustrate for the viewers back home since we don't have smell-o-vision.
Dude, I'm glad we don't.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't, too.
There's a lot of TV shows I wouldn't want to have smell of it. We should wait. Hold on, sorry. We're way the fuck off track again. We should try to get something productive done.
Could
we're
imagine
going
smell-o-vision on
Okay,
porn?
let's talk about...
Let's
Awful.
not ever go
That would
down
be
the
awful.
smell-o-vision on porn route, because that sounds terrible.
That would be awful. It just smells like menthol and just booty.
I imagine it smells like
musky menthol.
it's a mixture of baby wipes, jizz, and like every perfume in Victoria's Secret.
And cigarettes. I'm sure they're smoking.
Oh,
on
there's
set.
definitely
Yeah,
lots of
guaranteed.
cigarettes. Yeah.
God.
I can't think about that much longer. Let's talk
So
about
Legion.
Like the cigarettes and
Star Wars
baby
Legion.
wipes smell together.
And
Star Wars Legion.
So we
everybody.
had... Shush, peanut gallery. So...
We're
Yeah, you're off the reservation, guys.
Kyle and I.
I'm going to have to send out the cavalry to bring you back.
Yeah.
No survivors.
I will not be contained.
He's our Geronimo of the episode. So, yeah, Star Wars Legion. So we had a tournament last weekend. And it was a weird reversal where our first tournament was all Rebels and one Imperial. And that was me just putting down rebellions left and right. And then this time we decided to play the Aftermath series after Return of the Jedi because it was all Imperials and one Rebel. So it was just Imperials. It was basically General Veer-offs. Like, it was just General Veers versus General Veers to see who's the better General
Veers.
Veers.
From when it first came out? Like, it was all Rebels?
Yes.
For a while?
Turns out General Veers made the Empire good.
Okay.
He made the Empire great.
I think he makes him playable.
He does.
Like, Vader is not a bad commander, but he's basically more or less just a melee beat stick, so he doesn't really do anything for the rest of the army.
To make him
so
playable,
slow.
he's 230 points.
Yeah,
And
he's
it's 800
expensive.
point game.
He's expensive.
You
For sure.
have to bring a commander.
You do have to bring. It's like 40K. You have to bring a commander.
You have to have
a
HQ.
general, basically, right?
So, but some things we kind of learned in the tournament is that terrain's key, if you have too open a battlefields, people die real fast.
Terrain is a really big deal.
It's a huge deal. Much bigger, I think, than some of the others. But
It just falls.
I also think that the Rebel infantry are suffering a little bit against stormtroopers, as it should be. I'm sorry, all my Rebel players, but you're terrorists. This is a professional army.
Right. I mean, it's not even just like just terrorists versus professional army. It's like professionally equipped versus like what we had laying around in the shed.
Yeah.
Like,
it is.
I don't know. I guess Rebel infantry and like equipment never struck me as like cutting edge. It was
like
just
you
like
look
they
at
had
the
more heart.
You look at the fleet troopers. It's basically like the U.S. Army versus like TSA agents. Like it's
they're cops. Yeah, they're totally cops.
It's like some guys like, I found my grandpa's World War I revolver. Let's go.
Let's go to war.
Yeah.
It's a Webley. He's just like, ah.
A shout out to Danny Wright, who actually won for the Empire. So
yeah, I did. He
just
undefeated.
Undefeated. Yeah, he
that's more impressive.
Murdered
than just
his
winning.
way to victory, which is funny because Danny's natural love of scouts helped him so much because the scout bikers are so friggin' good. So
they are really good. Getting the free
super
move
good.
and then still being able to aim and shoot's kind of a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's good.
Gigantic deal.
So it doesn't hurt too that the and obviously he only had to play against one Rebel, but it doesn't hurt that the speeder for the Rebels is kind of like
it is
between the speeder and the
ATST.
ATRT. Like, well, the ATST is definitely really good, but compared like for the Rebel side between the speeder and the ATRT, I feel like you always go ATRT, man. Like,
I think
it's just
ATRT
better.
spam is a thing. Like
they seem really good. The
Yeah.
speeder, not so much. I don't know.
It's very meh.
It just doesn't strike. I mean.
Part
They
of the
didn't really
problem
fare
is
well
it's-
in the show, or like in the movie, so maybe that's why they're not great.
It's like
in the
basically
game.
they're all shot down in one battle sequence.
Yeah, they literally all shot down in one battle sequence.
Yeah.
They're good at basically S&R missions, and even that only so-so.
I learned a very important lesson, and that is that General Veers with a fully equipped squad of stormtroopers can't stop Luke Skywalker.
See, I think Danny would say otherwise. Because Danny literally shot Luke to death with stormtroopers.
I don't know how he
gunned him down like a kid in the street.
Because Luke came around the corner and literally murdered all of my stormtroopers, and then General Veers was like, "I've got him," and then they cut my head off. So
that's the thing.
It was unfortunate. Yeah, Force users, I think you have to catch them in the open, and you've got to catch them when they don't have a dodge, because if you're not super familiar with the game, if you have a dodge and you're a Force user, so Luke and Vader, you can reflect the shots back at people and deal damage.
Honestly, I don't think, like, once Han comes out and Leia is actually available again, I don't think you'll see Force users as much anymore, because I think Veers does more for you as an Imperial, and I think more people will want the variety of Han or Leia over Luke.
I agree.
So I think, like, you might see them as, like, a secondary, but I don't think you'll see them as the general often.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jeez. You're going full Rick on me tonight.
Good God.
No.
So, it's distracting.
So.
Pulling me out of my immersion.
Sorry.
Yeah, all the immersion.
So, next on the list.
Yes.
We have store championships for X-Wing.
Yeah, we have we got a store championship this year at Olympus.
Finally.
August 4th.
We've only been trying for like 3 years?
3 years we've been trying to get a store championship. We put in for it every time, and they just never give it to us.
Yeah. It's August 4th. It starts at 9 a.m. We're capping at 40 max, which would be huge for us. We would be like busting at the seams.
For what it's worth, I would like to think that it's not that we didn't get it the other years. This is actually the first time we were supposed to get it from 3 years ago. It's just FFG, so our store championship has been on the boat for a while.
It has been on the boat.
They just finished restocking it, and it's back in
the boat.
Quick, so I'm going to have a minor side conversation here, which I know never happens on this podcast.
Yeah, no, we're super on top of shit all the time.
Yeah, cool meaning or not, with the Game of Thrones miniatures game, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
As Kyle pointed out, like I went on their website and they're like, "Here's how you track our ship to see where the ship is."
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
And Kyle was like, when you have to track it on a ship and put a ship tracker on your website, you've had people bitch.
Yeah,
about
right. Like
product.
that's the thing, right? Like if you are a company who's like, boy, we better put a literal GPS. We better put our own GPS on that ship so people can track it. You have distribution problems. What you should be looking at is not how do we fucking put a tracker on the ship, is how do we get the ship here on time?
Yeah.
Or maybe like, I don't know, let's not announce it until we know when it's going to be
we
here.
know it's on our warehouse.
I disagree, man. I've kickstarted many a game.
What's
right?
that? Hold on. What's that captain?
Nemo.
No,
Kirk.
The captain who
Picard.
who
Han
got
Solo.
his ship got taken over by
Marco
Nigerian
Ramius.
pirates.
Marco Ramius.
Tom
Oh,
Hanks.
you're talking about
the Alabama
It's
Murs.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah,
Alabama
Captain
Murs.
Phillips.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Every one of their ships is a different Captain Phillips.
Do you know how?
No,
taken
I'm
out-
serious.
like,
Like these
Yeah.
these Kickstarter folks that I don't Kickstart much anymore, but when I did, they are enthusiastic about seeing exactly where the cargo is.
This one's coming on it's like the Southwest Shanghai Express.
Exactly.
But is it that they're enthusiastic or that they have been burned enough times by super slow shit?
It's
from
both.
these. I think it's that because let me just give you my only Kickstarter experience. I only Kickstarted a few things other than one of GM Drew's albums.
Awesome.
Which
Thank
was
you.
great. It was
very
great.
much.
My Kickstarter, my pledge was delivered on time. I was fine. The other two things I Kickstarted were I Kickstarted 3 other things. They were all Mantic things. And they were all terribly late, literally 6 months at best past the original due date. And the third one, I literally canceled the Kickstarter because I was I haven't gotten my last Kickstarter yet. And they're like, oh, we're really sorry about that. We're trying to figure out what's going on with that. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on is you're not a professional shipping company. It shows, right? You're great. You're fun games. That's great and all, but you're not good at shipping.
The Kickstarter for Drop Fleet Commander
that's a
literally
bad one.
killed my desire to play the game and to do anything with the company. Because it was for sale in stores, retail. Everything I Kickstarted, I could buy in the store a month before I got my Kickstarter.
Protos games, their Aliens and Predators game was the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the
and
same
that
thing
just
happen.
and because here I was, and I was one of I did a VIP, a $500 Kickstarter with Drop Fleet, and I'm at the store in Laramie. And everyone's like, CJ, are you going to play Drop Fleet with us? The starters are only $40. And they're all playing, and I'm just literally seething inside. I'm not going to play it out of principle now. And I got it all, and guess what? It's still packed up in a box.
We could have a whole episode about Kickstarter.
We sure could.
I could ramble ad nauseum about Kickstarter.
But anyway, back to our store championship.
The problem is, I just want to say, the problem is if you're trying to figure out as a regular gaming company, if you are any big gaming company, people who have stuff in the majority of stores in the United States or Canada or wherever else,
and in distribution channels.
If you are in more than one distributor and your problem is you need to figure out how to put a tracking device on your boat, that's not your problem. You have a bigger problem, and it's that you have a really bad supply chain, and you're bad managing it.
Say what you want about all Games Workshop and Fantasy Flight, but they don't Kickstart their shit. They pay for it themselves.
I have a lot of respect for Fantasy Flight and Games Workshop and Wizards of the Coast, because they don't Kickstart themselves.
Yeah, they develop.
I've got my kind of issues with each company, here and there.
They all problems.
Yeah, every one of them, none of them are perfect. They all have some sort of problem. But I will say this for all three of those companies, none of them Kickstart things, and I have a lot of respect for that because I have a lot of mixed feelings about a lot of Kickstarters. But I do think the Kickstarter is a great venue for small companies or little people who have a hard time getting that first thing launched or getting that influx.
It doesn't make sense for Reaper or Simon.
It doesn't make sense for Reaper or Cool Mini. Yeah. There's no scenario in which you're telling me that the second biggest board game company in the world needs to Kickstart every goddamn thing it does. That it's not about Kickstarting anymore. It's just about they want to get paid up front. They don't want to have any risk.
Yep.
So that for me is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of the cheesy way out in my mind.
So, store championship. We got on a rail there.
Store
That's fine. So we are super excited. We're ready to get it going. Super big shout out to Ken. He's making a lot of this possible. I mean,
Thanks,
he does.
Ken.
Thank you, Ken. You do so much for our Star Wars community. You are the man. Also, Kurt's helped us out a lot too.
Kurt is also pretty great.
Kurt's a great guy. Those two have really just helped carry Star Wars in our community. But I know Ken's really kind of taking the lead on this Star Wars store championship. He thinks we'll have a really big turnout. I think we will too, unless
I'm very optimistic about it.
I am optimistic too. This is almost going to be kind of like the final send-off for first edition in a way.
It is in my mind. It is the last chance you'll get to be super abusive with
a lot
TLTs
of the combos
and harpoons.
Yeah.
And all those other
Hope you're ready to
shenanigans.
bring your abusive combos because this will be one of the last. I'm sure combos will develop in second edition, but that's part of the goal of second edition is to get rid of some of these combos.
That's my question about this championship being. It's probably the last one before second edition comes out, right?
It's one of. I mean, there might be some in the area because it's still in the window. We're not at the end of the window for championships, but
there's a bunch
close.
of championships in Colorado.
We're very close,
but we're one of the latter ones. I think
because it's August 4th. That's Gen Con. That is Gen Con.
Is
it?
You'll be gone.
I'll be in Indy, and that's when
you better get some cool stuff.
I'm not going to stand in that freaking line.
For
so
Fantasy Flight?
1 year I did stand in the Fantasy Flight line for, I think I was in line for 2 hours.
But Drew, I want some Sweet Legion stuff.
You can have it in a couple weeks after Gen Con.
That's not what I want, though.
I know. Sorry. But
you see how stubborn he is, everyone.
I'll
I
rant
hate
about,
waiting in lines at cons, so I don't blame
I'll
you.
rant about FFG a bit as far as Gen Con goes.
It's kind of a recurring subject.
Sure,
for us.
like most
That horse
booths.
hasn't been beaten.
First of all, if you've never been to Gen Con, the exhibit hall is huge. I mean, it's as big as a shopping mall, and most booths are, I don't know, 10 foot by 10 foot or whatever. Fantasy Flights, they pony up the money to make a pretty big booth, but it's just a freaking store.
I bet they don't pay for
Is
their
all
booth.
it is. No, they're like a silver level.
Yeah,
sponsor.
I mean, like they're kind of like one of those
They're
companies.
an attraction.
Having FFG at your place kind of makes you more legitimate. You don't charge those people.
So, whatever. But they set up a big store, and you wait in line just to go shop in their store.
Yeah.
So it's kind of lame, honestly.
But it's the only place where everything's in stock.
Yep.
That's
Not
the
in the
whole draw,
warehouses.
guys.
No, but actually, the last time I went is when the big the Imperial ship came out. I don't remember
The
what it's
Raider.
called. The Raider. And
Goodness.
it sold out. It sold out long before.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I was first.
People were jazzed about the
I
Raider. when it came
want
out,
to say I
man.
was probably first 100 in line, and
you
they
didn't
were
get
sold
one.
out.
I think we sold like 8 Raiders when they came out.
they
We
were
sold
a
a
big deal.
shit ton of Raiders.
They're cool. I got
Yeah,
one
they're
sitting
super
in the
sweet.
thing over there.
They're a great
Probably bought from you.
ship.
So
Yeah, I guarantee you bought it from us.
that's my thing
your
about
spiel
FFG.
about it.
I'm not going to stand in their line again. I got a cool pin for standing in their line for 2 hours, but no, there's so much cool stuff to see.
That's like the
It's
ultimate.
like spitting in your face.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate like consolation award. Like, well, I think I appreciate y'all standing in my line here.
Here's a
That
metal
was
pin.
mighty nice of you. Like, but I want to buy a Star Wars ship. Well, we don't have anymore. But I only came for that. Well, you got something else, didn't you? You got experience. Now, get
Now,
the fuck out of my line. I'll piss on your face. Get out of here.
and he just throws the button at him.
Yeah, he's like, here's your pin. Now get out of my
But
line.
it's
Like,
just
flicks
a
it and hits him
store.
in the
Like
forehead.
other places are showing off their newest stuff, and you're able to visit with the designers and the developers of the game. This is just a store. It's kind of lame.
Having
So they
that-
set up a store and they're just like, buy our shit.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's all.
Well, it works. So
That's true. I'm
Dude,
not.
the
so
line.
I've-
The
I've
line
met-
is.
I've
3
met the
hours
president
long.
of FFG a couple times. I want to say his name's Scott, and I've met a bunch of the FFG staff, like at trade shows and stuff. And they're all nice people, but I totally get why they just do a store because they're kind of awkward. Like, yeah,
They haven't found their hot girl yet to put on the.
they don't have like a Becca or
They don't have a
whatever. They
Becca.
don't have like a face person.
Yeah.
That's what they need, right? Like
They
if
do.
they have lots of like
Maybe what's her
Hannibals,
name?
lots of
Who's,
BAs, but
wait,
they don't
wait.
have face.
Who's Ray from Star Wars that can maybe pick her up when the series is done?
Ray from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's her name?
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah,
right?
I get Daisy Ridley.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
I'm
say,
so excited that they hired the Game of Thrones writers to write the next Star Wars trilogy because that means it's going to be fucking fantastic
And probably a lot more violent and brutal.
and probably suck at least 90% less.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a big difference.
God help us, Last Jedi. I can't think of it without getting frustrated.
I try to not think about Last Jedi
Yeah.
because it does
Try
frustrate
to
me.
block it out of my mind. Okay, so what else we have next
Okay.
on the agenda?
So the big news,
Drew
it's
just stared
not
at
news.
CJ with like
I don't know why I said
seething
news.
hatred.
the big release this week, Age of Sigmar,
Soul Wars. God damn, is it going to be so good.
We got a shitload of product
We did.
in today.
I played my very first game of Age of Sigmar Soul Wars, 2nd edition, last night. It was a shit ton of fun.
Yeah?
Like, so there's
Most of it hasn't changed. That.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
There's
like
subtle
drastic changes. There's like a few subtle changes that I think are important.
Just some fixes?
It's
Yeah,
I
I
would
think-
almost call rule wise like 1.5.
Yeah, it's closer to a 1.5 than a 2. Yeah, like some fixes for sure. There's definitely big fixes in my mind, like to like how consolidating and piling in works. They fixed that, so it's not punitive for large units that have lots of models anymore. They definitely changed up command abilities, which I really, really like, because gone are the days of having like 5 characters with command abilities and only ever getting to use one of them.
Yep.
Now, you don't get to use all of them necessarily at the same time. You do need to save up some command points for that, because you get You just basically, when you play the game, you get 1 command point a turn. And if you bring battalions, each battalion gives you one off command point. You can only use once or whatever. But you're always gaining 1 at least a turn. So you can always use a command ability a turn. But if you choose not to use a command ability, you can kind of like double up on command abilities next turn, which is really cool to me.
That's kind of cool. I was wondering how that worked. I haven't.
Yeah.
So I've glossed through the rule book a little bit. I was a little mesmerized by the artwork because it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But a couple things that I did see was never mind. Scratch that. I just brain farted. It was a rule and I just literally forgot it.
Having the extra command abilities was really cool to me because there are tons of times on turn 1 where I'm like, I'm just using my command ability just cause. I don't really care. It doesn't do anything. And lots of times, like later on down the road, where I would literally love to have my command abilities be used multiple times. And now, if I save up, I can actually do that, which makes me really, really happy. There's some pretty big changes to summoning. That is a big change.
Yeah. Basically, all the summoning became like what they did in the Legions of Nagash, where you add models back. Yeah. So basically, there's only kind of 2 main ways to do it right now, right? You can add models back into the unit from models that have been killed, or a lot of the characters, usually with command abilities, that have in their command ability they can summon a unit or bring a unit onto the battlefield. It's essentially weighted into their points now, and they're all once per battle that I've seen. But like take Illyriel, the Everqueen for Sylvaneth, she's still 600 points. But now I can choose once per battle to have a free Tree Lord or a free Kurnoth Hunters.
Way more valuable.
Yes.
Because a Tree Lord's like 300-something points. So like the fact that she just gives you a free Tree Lord, basically in my mind is like, oh, Lyriel only costs 300 points now.
Yeah.
And that is huge because I definitely thought she was more...
She was super overcosted.
Yeah, she was overcosted for sure at 600 points in my mind. 600 points plus a free Tree Lord. Now I'm like, okay, you're way more usable.
Take the Aberrant Ghoul King. He was 100 points. They upped him to 140, but once per game he gets to bring in a free unit of 10 ghouls that are 100 points.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So I think summoning is going to play a huge new role in the game. I think it's actually viable, whereas before I didn't, frankly, think it was that terribly viable. Other than just kind of a reinforcement mechanism. But I'm excited for it. Yeah,
it looks really, really good, and I'm very, very stoked. We literally got all of the stuff, and we're recording this on Tuesday, and we literally got all of the stuff in today for our release, with the exception of like a couple extra boxes that are coming separately. And it was fantastic. Like one of my favorite parts of my job is literally opening up new stock and getting to see all the toys. But there is no day quite like new box set day. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh. Like, I literally am like holding the Soul Wars box set like it's a long lost lover. And, oh, God. I have needed it these many cold winters. And I have needed it very, very badly.
I gingerly take off the packaging.
Right. There was nothing ginger about how I opened that box. Yeah. That was a Hungry Bear moment. I was ripping it open. I wanted that.
It was like a pit bull eating hot dogs.
Just tearing through it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm seriously, though, I'm super, super pumped for Age of Sigmar. I'm very excited. We're going to start a campaign pretty soon here.
What, Thursday?
If we can get everyone together on Thursday, I'd love to start it on Thursday. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm just thumbing through the General's Handbook right here, man. It's jam-packed of rules.
General's Handbook. Oh.
Yeah.
You feel so good on my skin, General's Handbook. Yeah, it's got a lot of really good stuff in it. There's more battle plans than ever before. Lots of cool new deployment types. Lots of cool missions. Lots of interesting point updates. Some things went up. Some things went down. A lot of my stuff sadly went up as Fire Slayers, so sad for me. But still, I'm pretty pumped.
So one of the things you said is you had a test game of AOS 2.0.
Yeah, I played on that.
How did the Stormcast play?
Yeah, so I played just the starter set. The Stormcasts are pretty. So I didn't feel like at any one point like it was a decided battle in my mind until the very end. It wasn't like, oh, the Stormcasts are definitely going to win, or oh, the Nighthaunts are definitely going to win. It was like, oh, okay, I did this thing, and then like the Nighthaunts would come up and like, oh, holy shit, they did all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna retaliate with this. Like it was very back and forth. The new Stormcasts feel really cool. everybody having some sort of a magical ability, even if it's just buffing themselves in some way, seems really good. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it was probably one of the better starter sets I've played with, balance-wise. It is absolutely my favorite starter set in the past 19 years of gaming with GW starter sets. Like, no questions asked. Yeah, definitely the best one I've played with. Definitely the best models. One of the very few that I've genuinely been excited to play both sides of.
Mm-hmm. They're both fun.
Yeah, they're both really cool.
I've done 2 games of the second edition. The first one was with Alex, not super eventful. Basically, he paid Stormcast, and I was the Night Haunts, and he just smashed my face in real bad. The second game I played was against Nick. Hey, Nick. And
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing, handsome?
Nick, the drug dealer.
Somebody came in earlier today. Oh, maybe we shouldn't tell that.
We shouldn't say that.
Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Just
Cancel
kidding.
that. Nobody came into the building asking about you, Nick.
No one happened into the store today.
We can't ruin it.
No, we can't ruin it.
Well, this comes out when... This comes out
Thursday.
Never mind.
Remember? Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Cancel that. So anyway, I played a game against Nick the other night on, it was last night. It was Monday night. And I played essentially I just had a mind melt too, so it's going around, Ryan. What the hell did I play?
I don't know what's been going on.
You know why we're having a mind melt right now? We don't have our normal fuel.
We don't have our donuts.
We don't have donuts.
That's kind of a big deal.
It's an issue.
Here. So I played Death. I played Manfred von Karstein with some of the Morghasts.
Yeah. That was a good
And Nick
set.
played frankly, what I think is a great army. It's an all-themed Palador army. And he just rolled over my skeletons and everything else. But then Manfred and the Morghasts did things. And by
gave
doing
Nick
things,
the bad touch.
Yeah, they killed like 60 plus wounds of Stormcast in 2 rounds of combat. So
Whoa!
Manfred went and just killed 9 of them, just like, whoop.
He did you dirty. You know what you need, Nick? You need one of them Celestar ballistas.
Yeah.
Solve that problem real quick, like.
So
how did the actual ghosts play? Like the ones from the starter set? Are they
I think
cool?
they're cool.
They're really good.
Here's the thing.
That's
where,
the one thing
really
I'm worried
good.
about. Like, I haven't ran a test game yet. So
I have one issue with them. If you could roll good 4-ups, they're great. If you roll like Kyle, they're gonna fucking blow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
so
should
there's
have
some
How many
intrinsic-
4-ups can you roll?
So
There's some intrinsic rerolling ability in that army.
There
though.
are. The saves not so
buff.
much.
Not the saves, but they can
They get a lot
buff
of
the
hit
hits and
wounds
stuff. And they don't necessarily need the saves to be buffed because they can bring guys back.
Yeah, tell me that when they're literally like writing your face down. I'm getting the wrap up from GM Drew. But
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, if you bring
But this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Plus D3
Absolutely.
for
Looks
This
like
is,
a great
in
game.
the words of Joe Biden, this is a BFD.
Okay.
So,
Where's he?
Did Uncle Joe actually say that?
there was a hot mic when they were signing the Affordable Health Care Act. There was a hot mic he didn't know about, and he leaned over to Barack Obama. He's like, "Man, this is a BFD," and it was caught on the mic.
But did he say big fucking deal? Or?
Yeah, no, he said it was a BFD.
Oh, a BFD.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty fucking tame though in my mind.
Well, for Uncle Joe, yeah, but the fact that everyone knew.
I mean,
it
he
was a
didn't
man,
try
it's
to.
like,
Did he try to fist fight
not
someone
like
right
big
after?
funny
or?
dude or something. You know what it means? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that movie that came out like last year, the Spielberg movie
Yeah.
BFG, and I was like,
BFG.
big fucking gut. No, it's big. Some
It's
guy.
Big friendly guy.
My
It's not big
favorite-
fucking guy though.
My favorite campaign photo, though, of Uncle Joe was he's sitting in a bar on the East Coast somewhere campaigning, and he's got like a Hell's Angel biker girl sitting on his lap, and her like tits are popping out, and he's just like leaning back, belly laughing at this bar counter, and he's campaigning as the Vice President of the United States. It's just a great. I'll try and find it for you guys. It's
because the office of Vice President of the United States
And
is
they
kind of
won.
laughable though.
and they won. I mean, how do you not like Uncle Joe?
I
He's
mean,
a likable man.
was this the first time they were campaigning?
No, this was the go around.
So they were up against Mitt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, yeah, they won. Shocker, right? Like, oh, wow, Mitt Romney didn't win.
So I put in
What?
Joe Biden in my phone with, and the first one is Joe Biden with gun, and the second is Joe Biden with ice cream. Thank you, Google.
Oh man, wow.
But
I could
the
sit
moral
here
of
for
this-
10 minutes and watch Joe Biden just eat ice cream. He's
Really?
just like,
Does it weird or something?
I don't know.
Now I want ice cream.
Now I want to know how Joe Biden
thanks.
eats ice cream.
But I did have a
Low
moral
carb,
of
no
the.
sugar diet. Appreciate that. Ice
Hey,
cream.
me too.
Yeah.
I did have a moral
Me
of the
too.
story, and that is
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag
That hasn't claimed any lives recently.
Recently.
Is that over? Are we done?
I don't know.
Is
Has
Blame
the
Apocalypse
firestorm ended?
Is Blame Apocalypse done? It's Diddlegeddon is over. It's officially ended.
It's never over.
All the
in
diddlers
Hollywood.
have been put in jail. Like,
It's never over in Hollywood.
yeah, it's never over.
So
They just got a sheet now
look
rather
at the
than out
guy,
in the open.
girl. Look at these two bikers looking at Joe and looking at him with that girl.
This is awesome
Nice.
for radio.
Yeah.
It is so good for radio, guys.
It's
Yeah,
pretty awkward.
right?
What
Her
you can
boobs
do.
aren't popping out.
So what you can do is that
No,
part
but
of the
they're
video.
prominent.
They're popping out the bottom of her shirt.
I have nothing but respect for the Hells Angels, and when you guys get like literally murdered by them,
So I have
don't
a
know
funny
why.
story about that. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but interesting story. We were setting up.
I'm gonna pass on this story. I don't feel like.
So I was in a country band for a long time, and we were setting up for a show. And about 12 Hells Angels bikers walked into the bar as we were setting up, and we suddenly got really quiet as we were setting up, making sure they were not disturbed. And
Good man.
honestly, they came up to us and said we sound checked, and they come up and said that we sounded great, and they wanted a business card so we could come play one of their rallies. I was really hoping they would call. They never did, but
that would have been
how
really cool.
would have
That
been,
would've been cool.
having the memoirs
Yeah.
that we played this
Time you played.
You played Hell's,
Hells
Angels,
Angels
rally.
Man, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
So, but I have a moral of the story to wrap up Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
And the moral of that story is, I think the key to your new lists, after just the game I played the other night, one of the keys that we'll be looking at is learning how to manage your command points with the command abilities. I think that if you just... Because now, it doesn't matter really who's the general as far as command abilities go. You get a point and you can activate any hero's command ability. And so keeping in mind those combos that affect your army, I think if you don't pay attention to those, you're going to find your army not as performing as well.
Cool.
So,
we're going to move along to a subject. As Kyle was actually driving over to my house to record tonight, he heard a commercial.
Bogarting my story?
No, I'm leading
go ahead.
into it. Fucker.
Go ahead. Just,
All right, so
just take it.
This is the first I heard of it, so I'm excited.
I don't know what this is either.
he was on his way over tonight and heard a commercial on the radio about
Because I still listen to the radio. I'm that asshole.
you're that guy.
Yeah.
You're the one.
I'm the one guy still listening to the radio.
Oh, everyone's just fighting over your rating.
Yeah, I'm like, I listened to this channel today. They're like, nailed it.
They're like, got him!
Advertising money.
Yeah, they hit your demo, that's for sure.
They sure do.
So, heard an advertisement for a Comic Con
Estes Park
that's
Comic-Con.
happening in Estes Park, Colorado.
Yeah. Does that surprise you?
It does surprise me a lot.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, a
Because
hell of
I
a
can't
lot.
wait to talk to you about Comic-Cons and how they're literally fucking everywhere.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Comic Con.
I thought there were like
while.
5 in America. Like, what the hell
Are
is
you
going
serious?
on? I thought like
What?
there's like New York, Chicago, San Diego, Denver, Salt Lake.
Yeah. No, so you named the biggest ones, right?
Yeah.
Basically. I'm sure there's one in Texas, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Take that, all of our one Texas listener. Suck it. You know who you are.
We love you, the one.
Sure. So yeah, no, those are the big ones for sure. There's basically a Comic-Con in every single town now. So this just kind of made me think of it, right? Because on some level, like I see like basically everybody getting a Comic-Con, right? Like if you just look at like on the Front Range alone, right? This year I don't believe there's a Cheyenne Comic-Con. There might be one. I've been told. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it for a while. But still this year, like let's not count Denver, right? Because that's already it's like the third biggest one in the country now.
Yeah.
It's big, right? So let's not count Denver, but just in our area, there's Fort Collins Comic-Con, Estes Comic-Con, Colorado Springs Comic-Con. There's...
But at what point does something actually become a Comic-Con versus just some people hanging out in a meeting room with some comic
Well,
books?
That's a Comic-Con!
So
That's
I don't
not a
know. That's
Comic-Con.
part of what I was.
Where
I
do
was
you
gonna
draw
say.
the line?
let me start by asking this question for someone who's never been to Comic-Con, because I'm not really into comics. I know that they've morphed from comics into more pop culture.
Yeah.
But what do you do at a Comic-Con?
Walk around and buy shit. Kyle can answer this.
I guess
better,
that no, but I don't. No, your answer's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if you asked all four of us at this table, we would all give you a different answer, right? Because I think everybody goes to Comic-Con for different reasons, and I think even if you just asked us, because I think, with the exception of you, we've all been to Denver Comic Con, right?
I've never been.
I know you have.
I've been, yeah.
Yeah, so like if you ask CJ and I completely separately to give you, exactly what we thought Denver Comic Con was and what our experiences were, I guarantee you they'd be different, right? Because like the reason CJ goes is probably different from the reason I go, right? And so on and so forth. And I think everybody goes for a slightly different reason, right? Like, and so I think
I've
it's
never been to the
interesting.
panels that you go to.
Right, like I go to panels.
Yeah.
I like going to panels. Like, so I guess, what do you go to Denver Comic Con for?
I meet celebrities and get autographs and get photos and ask them a question. I like to see the costumes and like the setups, like when they had the X-wing set up for Wings Over the Rockies or things like that. And then I like the vendors because you just run into stuff you're not going to find literally anywhere else. And it's the kind of weird stuff that even when you go online, unless you knew to search for it, Comic-Con shows you things you never knew you wanted.
Yeah, much like a Thai bathhouse.
Yes, it's like a... I have a feeling like...
Soapy, yeah.
Yep.
If you
Get a
took
selfie.
like a famed Arab market or like the market of Constantinople or Cairo and turned it into just a nerd market, that's a Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's like a nerdish Turkish
Wait,
bazaar.
so it's basically like... So I'm gonna relate
There's
this...
aisles. They literally label the aisles. There's like 400 or 500 vendors.
Okay, so like I'm
But what
about
are they
to...
vending?
Fucking everything you could think of.
See, and even that, like, my perception of that is very different, right? Like, because there's a lot of vendors, but I feel like every year I go, there's like a tchotchke hot item, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago when I went, it was vinyl decals. So it was like, yeah, there's like 100 vendors, but like 50 of them have vinyl decals. Like you'd go to like 10 different booths and see the same vinyl decals. The big one lately that I see is pop figures.
Yeah.
Every booth is pop figures. And I'm like, oh man, look, more pop figures. So like there's a ton of pop figure
Yeah, that
booths.
doesn't
A ton of
intrigue me
t-shirt
at all.
booths. Well, so but part of it is like you have to sort. For me, that's
to
what I
sort through the
consider the
vendors.
chaff, because he's right. Like there are also just like totally off the wall, super duper random stuff. Like I get a belt every year from a company called Obscurus. I really love their belts. They make fantastic, really handmade belts.
I'll give you an example of two things I found that I'd never seen. I found a company that was doing like little props from Fallout, like from the... Kyle, help me here. You're more of a Fallout guy.
Like
the
yeah,
vaults
they have
and
like
stuff.
Pip Boys and
Yeah, and
I've seen their props.
Like
They're
the fake mortar shells and stuff. They were like $5. I picked up one that's kind of funny and cool. I found like you can find. I also collect Star Wars toys. You can find some really obscure and odd ones.
And a lot of that too depends on what Comic-Con you go to.
Yeah, it does.
Like Denver, the vendor space at Denver is not bad, but there's not as much variety as say as if you went to a bigger one like C2E2 in Chicago, or if you went to like New York Comic-Con. Like you're gonna, I mean, those are just more established cons, really, and that's part of why they have a bigger vendor space.
So
you know,
here's
you find artists too.
here's why I've never
There's a
gone.
lot of really great artists, but I feel like the artists have slowly gotten less and less every year at Denver Comic Con, because a lot of artists I know who previously went to Denver Comic Con have
I don't think they
decided
can
not
afford
to
it
go.
anymore.
Well, I think it's partially they can't afford it, and I think partially
Also-
like Denver Comic Con doesn't really gear things towards promoting the artists, so they don't make as much money.
Yeah.
Right? People are spending all their time in lines for celebs, which is part of why a lot of people go. It's not wrong. It just doesn't help the artists any, right? What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, I know a lot of artists are starting to switch over to streaming on Twitch and just do their artwork there and sell it directly on their page. It's actually a super popular thing.
That's new.
Do you have something, Drew?
But yeah, so the reason I've never gone to a Comic Con, which I fit in the world, right? I don't read comics, but I fit in the culture.
Yeah.
Is because I love gaming conventions because I feel like there's something to do.
Yeah.
We always... most of the gaming conventions I go to...
Gaming conventions are definitely a different animal.
thing. Yeah.
There's... The similar thing is there's a vendor hall.
Because I would say
Usually,
a
yeah.
gaming
And it's
convention
probably-
in general is boring if you're not gaming.
Yeah,
It's entertaining
yeah.
for a couple hours.
Yeah, if you're not
Yeah,
going to game, it's not. Why would you? I mean, why would you go? Like,
Right.
go for the game.
Like
for sure.
LVO is a great convention, but if you're not actually gaming, it's friggin' boring as hell.
You can maybe get one day, like Adepticon. I usually
You
can
could do
have
a
one day
day.
where I'm like, I'm just going to watch some games and look at vendors, and that's fine. But I wouldn't want to do it for
No,
more than
I
a
wouldn't
day.
either. I would say, though, to your one thing, like, you know, what would drive you there versus a gaming convention? To me, going to Denver Comic Con, I'd never been, and I finally went. It was like going to the Ren Fair or like a festival. It was entertaining, just the spectacle of the event itself. Like,
It's
just-
worth
And that's
going.
what I was telling Kyle when
Yeah.
he came here and started talking about Comic Cons. Is I feel like it's something for nerds,
Yes.
and I mean nerds in the best possible way. It's something we can
That's
do.
our word.
It's something to do.
It is.
You don't
right?
use that word.
Like
And
like this, I want to say like the Frasier snooty type people, like they like to get dressed up in tuxes.
I've never seen so many costumes in my life.
And go to the opera.
Yeah.
People of our like culture want to get dressed up and go to a thing where a lot of people like the same type of thing.
But so far, all we've really talked about are the big cons. And the thing I want to talk about is not the big cons. Because I think the big cons are all fine and well. And I think to some extent, they are focused on being comic cons, at least a little bit. Denver, maybe a little less, though, than some of the others. Well, and San Diego, I don't think is really comics.
It's just a celebration now.
San Diego is it's a really different monster. But what I feel like is interesting, and I want to really touch on is all of these kind of small little like Estes Park Comic Con, Fort Collins. I haven't been to Fort Collins Comic Con in all fairness, and I've heard nothing but good stuff about it for the most part. But like Colorado Springs Comic Con, like. On some level, to me, when I see a lot of these guys like calling themselves Comic-Con, I ask myself, like, how Comic-Con are you really? Yeah. Right? Like, because a lot of them come off to me as very, like, pop culture con.
Yeah. That's what I think it is.
Like, even Denver didn't have Mile High this past year.
What?
Yeah, right? And that's like, Mile High is one of the, well, I mean, it's the biggest comic book store out there, period.
Sure.
At all. End of sentence.
And they weren't there?
Right, which is kind of weird to me, right? Because it's not like they can't afford the space.
No.
And it's not like, I mean, they don't really need the name recognition because everybody knows Mile High, but it's still interesting.
So Denver Comic Con didn't have Mile High comics there?
To the best of my knowledge. I did not attend this year, but that is what I have been told.
Wow.
So, you can fact check me and make sure I'm right.
Well, no, that blows my mind because I grew up in the Denver area and I knew, like, everybody, if you wanted anything, you go to Mile High Comics.
Mile High Comics is so well known. I mean, it's literally a comic book store that gets its own fucking variant covers. Like, for them covers. Yeah. So, like, they're kind of a big fucking deal in comic books.
They are.
So to me, it was kind of strange seeing, like, sort of that kind of decline. Because even when I went last year, there were less comic stores than even the year before. And to me, it always strikes me kind of funny because my defining moment, the first Comic Con I ever went to was Wizard World in Chicago. And this is like the first time I ever got really exposed to Warhammer. This is the first time I got exposed to a lot of the stuff that I really love right now. And one of my defining memories of that con was literally walking the vendor hall and just, it would be like aisle after aisle, booth after booth of just comics everywhere. And action figures too, for sure. And now I feel like I don't really see that anymore. And I kind of look at like some of these smaller cons, and it's not to say, by the way, it's not to say anything bad about Estes Park Comic Con. I think it's their first year. I've never been. I'm sure it'll be cool. Not to say anything bad about Fort Collins Comic Con or Colorado Springs. I'm sure they're all cool, but to me, they don't really feel like Comic Cons. They feel like pop culture cons. It's like come meet some TV and movie stars. Which, don't get me wrong,
dress up. We'll have a cosplay contest.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like I have cosplayed at Comic Con. I totally go and stand in line and meet stars and like people that I really like. I also meet comic artists and writers too. So, it's not like it's not a bad thing they're having celebs. I feel like their focus is more on celebs, and to me it doesn't feel like a Comic Con.
So I think comics as we know it has nerd culture as we know it has really changed in the past, just 5-10 years. Like,
it's been heavily changed. I think it's been co-opted by Hollywood a lot.
That's true. And I think that's what, like, it got injected into the mainstream through Hollywood, through the live action comic book movies and everything that. So I think a lot of it is in the purest of me. So I've never, truth be told, I've never been to a Comic-Con ever. And not even by choice or anything. It's just literally I've missed it, or I haven't paid attention, or something like that. I'm always busy with something else. But to me, like, growing up liking nerdy stuff and video games and comics and stuff, like, I wasn't a heavy comic reader, but I really enjoyed, like, reading the random, like, Spider-Man comic I would get when I could afford it. And, like, it just seems that it's changed so much, and they have to essentially feature the mainstream popular stuff in order to get the attendance that they want. And I think that's why it's geared that way now. Because if you just do straight comics, the people who are like, well, I only like the Iron Man movies, they won't go. because there's nobody like it doesn't pander to them or it doesn't raise their interest.
Comic-Con is just the title. It's more of a culture.
But it's kind of a misleading title, though, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like on some level people are just co-opting the title Comic-Con and be like, we're Comic-Con. Like, we have like 3 comic book vendors and like a couple artists, but also tons of movie stars. Because like when I see it, that's what they're advertising, right? Mm-hmm. The advertisement I heard today on the radio for SS Park Comic-Con was talking about like the different celebs you can meet. Yeah. Right? When I see stuff on Facebook for Colorado Springs Comic-Con, it's like celebs. It's like TV and movie stars.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that's just what draws people in. I don't know. But it doesn't feel Comic-Con to me, right? It just feels like they're kind of bogarting the name a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see your point.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and again,
it's like comic is the genesis of everything this is.
Again, in all fairness, I haven't been to Colorado Springs Comic-Con, so I could be completely wrong. And if I'm totally off base, somebody tell me. Like, let me know. I don't want to.
Sure.
I don't want to be just like shooting out my ass here and just saying shit. But yeah, I mean, my perception of it doesn't strike me as very much comics.
You're more of a purist on that because you grew up with the whole actually collecting comics, and you grew up with the whole thing of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was exposed to comics early, but I didn't really get into them too much. Like I was just a super awkward kid who wasn't into anything.
Right.
And like I just kind of kicked rocks everywhere. But
or picked them up.
And picked them up and put them in my pocket.
He's pro at picking up things that are really heavy and putting them back down.
So
it was a portent of your life.
Yeah. I think it really really helped shape who I am today. But no, like, so I can see why they. But I can see why they pander to that and have the movie stars and TV stars, just because like. Who wants to go, like, some random Joe Schmo? Like, just go to some random house and be like, hey, do you want to go see, like, the guy who played Spider-Man in the movies? Or do you want to go read a Spider-Man comic? Like,
sure.
It's the whole, how do we get butts in seats?
How
do we get feet in the door?
I think it's cool. I think it's cool that there's nerd culture happening.
I'm not
everywhere.
Saying it's not cool.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I'm seeing, like, people who used to like shove me in lockers and be like, "You're a stupid nerd," and kick me in a trash can.
Can you imagine someone shoving this guy into a fucking locker?
Oh,
what were the lockers like at your school? How big were they?
No, believe it or not, like
believe in the janitor closet.
Janitorial closet. Yeah,
I didn't look like that. You've seen
I've seen like thinner Ryan, but like your frame is still your frame. Like you're not a small guy. Like you're tall. Like
I wasn't.
Maybe you grew
all through high school. No, for real. All through high school, I was like 6 foot. I was like 5'9" to 6 foot, somewhere in there. Like
well,
I
as
started
someone
high
who's
school
never
like
gone
5'9".
above 5'10", that's impressive to me. So
well, no. Like long story short,
I reached for the stars. I'm the
long
tallest
story
person
short,
in
I
my
had
family.
a crazy growth spurt. Right at senior year of high school.
Now Ryan folds
and
people
now
and puts them in lockers.
Yeah, right. Like if you had been like, do you think this guy folds kids and puts them in lockers? I'd be like, yeah, dude, totally. Yeah. Like that kid fucking definitely beats some kids up.
I used to get picked on and shoved in trash cans and stuff, and now I see like some of those same people wearing a Batman shirt. Right. I'm like, you literally made fun of me for having a Batman Trapper Keeper in junior high.
Right.
Screw that guy.
I like that you call it a Trapper Keeper too.
It was.
It's a binder, but
it was a Trapper Keeper.
Trapper Keeper. Jim Drew's got a Trapper Keeper right here.
I bought this shit on eBay. This is the same one I had when I was in the 7th grade.
People used to book check me all the time, and they're like, "Nice Trapper Keeper, nerd," and like they all the time. Yeah, like now I'm going hunting. It's hunting season.
now you're gonna like.
No.
Now you're gonna go all Texas A&M on those guys.
No. True.
So apparently,
you see Big Swole in a like bell tower.
A water
just watch
tower,
out.
yeah.
Or in a
apparently our last podcast that we put out, we talked a lot about. We spent a good amount of time talking about movies.
We did.
Yeah.
And so
we definitely did.
Apparently some folks liked that. So we decided we're going to start implementing a little bit of movie conversation into our podcast. So we did not...
Do we want to make an announcement about the project we're going to work on?
No, they don't get to know about that.
Okay.
Disregard.
Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
So we never talked about Solo.
We never did. We gave predictions, but we never.
We gave a lot of predictions, and we talked a lot about.
We talked about the trailer.
Magnetic boots.
Yep. Big Swole was offended by him holding Chewbacca
by his arm.
Yep.
And we all went and saw it.
We all went and saw it.
It's a simple matter of weight ratio.
I know it is. It's okay. But we never talked about our thoughts afterwards.
We didn't.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but when we all go to a movie together, like we do like a store showing, and there'll be like 200 of us nerds there watching it. And I don't know if you guys notice that I always split. Like, I want to have like alone time to process and think about it before I talk about it. But anyway,
that didn't happen in Infinity War. You sat right next to me at Infinity War, and we talked a few.
We talked like for a minute, and then I'm out. I'm
See,
gone.
Drew heads out. I'm ready to do press interviews. They'll be like, all right, let's
I generally
process it.
I generally need to pee immediately after seeing any movie, so like past the like. If
But I noticed
that part,
like
then I'm ready.
on Solo,
I'm
like as soon as the credits rolled, like G like crawled over to CJ and Kyle like. What did you guys think? Like,
people definitely do that. Like in the past, like whatever. I don't know how long I've been doing this anymore. In the past better part of a decade. Yeah, no. I mean, I feel like I'm approachable. Right up. I like talking. I'm good at that. But people do
clearly
feel like right.
Aside from his occasional RBF, but
yeah. I mean, I might have a little RBF, but
people
usually
think he's mad a lot when he's not.
Yeah, no.
Gotcha,
I'm generally
I get that a lot.
What's that?
A lot.
You do too?
Oh shit, yeah. People think I'm a big fucking asshole just because of my face.
Generally speaking,
I'm not. I'm really not.
I don't get mad too frequently, but yeah, no, I definitely have resting bitch face for sure.
So,
like, I'm usually just thinking about something, and it's generally like, if we're being realistic, it's like probably pancakes or food related.
So you have a scowl, and you're just like, I could really.
It's mostly because I'm frustrated that I don't have pancakes at the time of day that I want them. I don't like that society puts that bullshit on me that I have to have it for breakfast. That shit's fluffy and delicious. I want it all the time.
You want to get pancakes
before we go too deep into like what we think and analysis and all the fanboy stuff and like, what did you think of Solo? Like,
I liked him.
Okay.
I didn't see it because the day you guys were doing it. Was
lift stuff, put stuff down day.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only been a month since then. Okay, Kyle, what do you think?
I like Solo.
Don't smile! Don't smile at me like that.
I had to.
It's super creepy. It was pick stuff up, put stuff down day.
Mine was meh.
Okay.
I didn't hate it like
as far as
Jedi.
Solo the character.
I think
the movie. I didn't hate it like I do Last Jedi. But I didn't...
You didn't love it.
I didn't love it. I mean, I'll watch it again.
I think for me, I went into it with, like... I didn't get excited until, like, a couple days before.
Yeah.
And because I didn't really... For me, I think what really helped is I didn't watch the previews. I didn't get on the hype train. Like, I was like, I'm just going to go into this and watch it. And that, for me, was a lot. Because I enjoyed the shit out of the movie. I thought it was pretty fantastic. Like, there's some parts of it that I could have done without, for sure. But nothing that, like, for me,
was no
it was so
Casino
much.
Planet moment.
Yeah, right. Like, it was so much better than Last Jedi. That I was like, oh, cool. There wasn't a stupid sidetrack for some random bullshit and like coin shitting droids and like all kinds of dumb stuff. Like, it was pretty fun. Like, again, they kind of always do this thing.
Commentary about animal cruelty. And
right. Welfare. Well, there's still some political commentary. Right?
There is. Yeah.
They always do this thing where they like use droids as like plucky comic relief, and I hate that. Like, I don't feel like they need to be that. Mm-hmm. And they are also always sort of social commentary because they're like the second-class citizens of Star Wars. But other than that, honestly, I thought it was fun. Like, visually, very stunning. Lots of really kick-ass looking shit. The new TIE Fighter was kind of dumb to me, but that was really, out of all the ships, that was the one where I was like, man, that seems kind of weird. And
I really liked the Falcon.
Not useful.
The way it looked.
Yeah, the Falcon. I thought I was going to hate the Falcon.
You didn't like it?
No.
I thought I was going to hate it. I thought it was good. Like, it was a fun reason for why the like nose cone thing was there.
And the whole closet full of capes.
That for me was perfect because it reinforced how much I was like, God, Lando's useless. Yeah. Like he's like totally just like a suave debonair dude who's like, look, I got a closet full of capes, man. Like no one cares, man.
I'm a really cool dude.
Here's one thing I did like is when they called him Han, and he corrected him as Han. I did like
so
that.
people can stop calling him Han because that's wrong.
Yeah.
I loved his. So I thought How He Meets Chewbacca was pretty fun.
The book was better.
Was it?
The Legends book was better.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not canon.
I know.
I also really
The book
I
was
thought
better.
I'm that guy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay.
the scene that I liked that I think was subtle and it was small, but I really enjoyed where Han Solo's in the Imperial Army and they're battling on that planet because it kind of showed a side of warfare in Star Wars
that was
that you
cool.
don't see.
That was neat. The
Yeah.
grit,
The grit,
World
the
War
trench
II
warfare,
type of-
yeah.
The part where he like meets the Imperial officer and he's like, "What's your name? Who are your people?" That was super ham-fisted.
That was.
That
yeah.
felt like he was just
Oh.
like, "I'm just alone." He's like, "Huh." He like gives like a shitty smirk. He's like, "Han Solo." Like,
That
oh
was
yeah, nailed it. Roll
fucking
credits.
dumb.
That was like, but that was it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I feel like if I only have like one or two moments in a movie where I'm like, "That's dumb," then it's still a pretty good movie for me. Like, because it was definitely not
like
that
I
way when I
said,
watched Last Jedi.
It wasn't terrible.
It
I'll
was-
watch it
all
again.
of it was awful.
In fact, I think I remember you in Last Jedi standing up with like your hands out, like what the.
Yeah,
fuck?
I definitely had like
Yeah.
what the fuck moments where I'm like throwing my hands up, like what the fuck
Tell
is
me
this?
it was the Leia Superman empowerment.
I was definitely
No.
angry when I saw that. Like, so it was very like at first when she gets blown out into space, I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
like, this is really
I was
bad.
like
It
a
was
little
dramatic.
devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
was
should have
like,
left it like that.
I
was
know!
like-
It was
I
emotional.
Like, oh my god!
it was my first point in the already hour and 40 minutes we were at in that movie where I was like, I have a connection. Like, I'm feeling this movie now.
Yeah.
And then they were like, haha, just kidding. She floats back in. And I was like, well, fuck. You just pissed all over my face. You got me there. You got me there, Disney. You had me going. I started feeling something for the film, and then you pissed on me. And I was looking at it,
And
and
then
you
we're
got it in
made-
both my eyes.
We're basically forced down our throat to care about the skate pod guard.
God damn it. Look, okay. So here's the thing, right? Like,
I don't remember this.
Rose Tycho?
Rose?
Is it Tycho?
Oh, sure.
I don't remember her last name.
Her name's Rose.
Yeah.
I don't remember her last name. So a lot of people right now are feeling really bad for the actress because she got a lot of shit. Like a bunch of people.
I think she was fine as the actress.
Let me
As the
just
actress herself was great.
let me just say this. My beef is not with her portrayal of the character, nor
It's
her
with the
skill.
character
or-
itself.
yeah, it's with the character itself.
Like,
right?
you can't-
I don't think she did a bad job.
No.
She was doing the best I think she could have done with the lines that they gave her character.
Yeah, like at what point?
God damn, do I not care about her character?
My whole thing is like, at
I don't
what
care about
point-
Finn either because he's boring.
At
to
what
me.
point can you blame the writing? You're like, the actor played the part. Like, the
Right.
writing is bad.
And
Well,
we're-
so the whole thing is like we're supposed to give a fuck about the deserter and the security
See,
guard
we
of the
went
life
right back
pods.
to Jedi. It's
So
shit.
like, and it's like, here's the thing: why the fuck is there a guard guarding the life pods anyway? Like, couldn't you just lock the door? Or like, isn't that a job for a droid? Or like here we are. I'm supposed to care
we just
about.
put in a good security code.
I'm supposed to care about
on
the guy
top of
who
it-
constantly tries to bail on his friends, Lando. And I really hate that they're kind of putting Finn in the Lando role in my mind because he'll be cool in the next movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
he'll stop being kind of like the guy who bails on people and start really taking a share in things. I don't know. But I can't buy into their romance. I don't care about it. Like, I'm
Like
like, Rose Tycho basically fucks up the whole plan that Finn is going to finally do something brave and sacrifice himself. And she's like, no, I love you. I will save you so
Even
that
though I've
hundreds
known you
more have to
24
die.
hours, yeah.
Like, she saves him. She's like, we're going to win this with love. It's like, no, Rose, we're not going to win this with love. We're going to win this with some serious fucking ordnance. I'm talking thermonuclear shit here, baby. I'm talking some fuel, air, thermite, plasma, napalm mixture, all right? We're not winning this shit with love. I can tell you right now, I can count on one hand how many fucking wars in all of history have been won with love. Guess what, kids? It's fucking zero. You know how many wars have been won with thermite, plasma? Well, basically all of them since Nam. So, you do the counting.
So back to Solo.
Back to Solo.
I liked Solo. It was fun.
I really liked Solo.
Did you like the spoiler alert, the Darth Maul thing at the end?
Yes, I loved the Darth Maul thing
I
at the end.
did. I will recognize if
Now
you,
I'm excited to
if
see
you've
that movie.
never,
I loved him.
If you've never
ain't gonna
seen
lie.
the cartoons Clone Wars or Rebels, it's
You
confusing.
really need to see Clone Wars specifically.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of backstory there with Maul in Clone Wars.
There's
that
a
you
lot
need
of
to
stuff
watch
in
first.
Rebels too.
Yeah.
There is stuff in Rebels too, but like literally why he has the legs he has. That's
full
Clone Wars. You need to watch that part, and why he's carrying the lightsaber he has, also Clone Wars.
Yes.
So
and in charge of a syndicate. Clone
for
Wars.
me, Clone Wars. For me, that little gem was so big because I love Clone Wars, and it was just kind of like this really solid, like, hey, we know that thing happened. It was like it was tying it into something else I really enjoyed, and that really helped me enjoy Solo even that much more. I was like, wow, this is great. I really love this.
really
Now we'll
like-
never see the ending of it because they've already been like, fuck it, we're not doing anything more. with
Woody
that.
Harrelson's character, Beckett. I
Yeah, he
loved
was
him.
fun.
I thought Beckett was great.
The wink to he killed Aura Singh.
Oh,
Yes.
That was neat.
Who gives two shits about Aura Singh?
I know.
She's
but
in like.
it was
That was a fan
cameo.
play, yeah.
it was like a wink to the real.
It
nerd.
was.
She was
I
in Clone
know.
Wars a lot, though. Or
She is
Sing.
in Clone Wars a decent bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the movie, she's like in one scene in the pod racing scene. Or
Yeah,
something.
it's just
fucking
like a
boring.
stop and then go.
Yeah.
Kind of
Or
shot.
Sing.
They were like, look at what we have.
What's his
Yeah.
name? I didn't expect to be the bad guy, the head of Black Sun, the actor.
Paul Bettany?
Yeah,
I
he was
forget what his
good.
character's
Vision.
name was. Vision, yeah.
I
You
was
didn't,
like,
you didn't think he'd be a bad guy?
no, I didn't think he was in the. I didn't know he was in the movie.
Oh, I didn't know he was in the movie either. I was like, if you didn't think he was going to be a bad guy, like his face glows red. Like that's dead giveaway.
He was
if
like
you ever
a-
meet someone and they have like red scars that glow,
They
just
actually
throwing it out
had-
there, guys.
They
Bad
actually
guy.
had somebody else be that, and then they couldn't be there for the Ron Howard reshoots, so
Oh,
they brought
okay.
in Paul Bettany.
Huh.
I did not know that.
Oh, little side note for you.
Thank you.
Paul Bettany did it well.
Paul
I
Bettany
enjoyed his portrayal
I'm
of the
curious
character.
who was the first person, though.
I think it was CGI, honestly.
Oh God.
Probably. It's
Yeah.
Andy Serkis. Right. He does everything CGI. I mean,
we didn't. You know, there were some things. So one of the issues I did have is there were certain parts I think that were really overhyped, and then we got nothing. Like they showed the shit out of those range troopers, and then we got like 12 seconds of them.
they're not called range troopers, CJ.
They're Magnaboot troopers.
Correct. Magnaboot troopers. Yeah, they were lame. But you know what?
I'm fine with that. There was a little bit of Empire,
Tiny
and
bit
that
of
was
Empire.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit of Empire, and it was probably the right amount. But like,
The droid.
I don't. Fuck, man.
Seeing the
we
Kessel
don't need
Run was
another
a-
fucking suit of armor. Like what's
But
wrong with
let's
just
talk about the
stormtroopers?
Kessel Run.
The Kessel
for a
Run.
second.
That was
Kessel
kind of a
Run
big
was
deal.
bullshit.
It's kind of a big deal.
You didn't
That they
like the
finally
Kessel
portrayed
Run?
it.
That they finally portrayed it though was a cheat. Oh yeah, I made the thing in 12 parsecs, but
Yeah.
he cheated and he went
I
through
thought that was a great way to tie that in.
Ugh.
Because like it was like, you know, originally it's like a famous line where like he's like, I made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. And, like people are like, oh, that's a unit of time, measurement of distance, not time. Like, yeah, it's cool. Like they were just saying science shit, man.
Yeah.
Like it was the 70s. Give them a fucking break. Like, it's
the first movie.
Yeah, right. Like they just came up with parsecs.
But
in
it
the
wasn't
70s.
like he did it with speed. He did it with some robot that was jacked into the Matrix.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. When you're a scoundrel and you're telling your tall tale so that you get hired, you don't tell them that it wasn't you, right? Like that's like if I rob a saloon, not only did I rob the saloon, but I gunned down 12 people in process. Like if you're hiring me to be a gunman, I'm going to tell you I gunned down 12 people in the last saloon robbery I was in. Doesn't matter if I even robbed the saloon.
Unscathed.
Yeah, right. Like that's just a good scoundrel. Like that's very Han Solo to me. Like basically just inflating it and being like, oh yeah, I totally did that. I can handle this.
Here's something I did like
That's
about
him.
it. I'll put a positive spin on it. I liked the whole Western feel about it.
Yeah,
Did
it's
have
good.
very much a Western feel
The whole,
to it.
yeah, I mean,
was a
even,
train robbery,
even
yeah,
the,
for
the
sure.
camera shot right off the holster where he unclips the gun.
Yep.
You know,
He and Beckett are kind of at the standoff at the end.
Yeah, I dig that.
It was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as well as Rogue One. Rogue One's one of my favorites.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
Rogue One's
One.
fucking phenomenal.
It was definitely not as good as Rogue One, but it was close for me.
Yeah.
Like Rogue One, I think just hit
It
all
hit
the nostalgia
what it needed to
really
be a Star Wars
well.
movie.
I guess
Right, it checked every box.
I liked Rogue One better
being
than any of the other new
old
ones.
guy
Oh, yeah.
on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was a movie that didn't piss me off.
What, Rogue One or Solo?
Solo.
Solo, okay.
So I count that good.
Grumpy old man.
Right.
It made your list of approvals.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
Drew gives it a solid meh.
A solid map.
He's
Map-
like,
map
I either
plus.
hate it or didn't hate it. Those are all the movies. I hate it or didn't hate it.
It's 50-50 option wise.
Yeah.
It's like a thumbs up, thumbs down.
All right, so we're creeping up over our 7 minutes here. So let's move on to the last word, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Who wants to go first?
I forgot my last word. I literally had one on the ride over here, and I forgot it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was originally going to be about Comic Cons, and then I was like,
I-
no, it should be a full-on subject.
I'll start mine. I am, for everyone I'm sure that's waiting eagerly, Staff Officer Lieutenant C.J. Young will be joining the 501st Legion soon. I almost have my costume put together. It's going to be sweet. I'm going to do some troops with a mountain garrison.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Shout out to Danny. Grandma Danny's keeping me on the track. I will say, though, finding German officer boots has been the hardest fucking thing I've ever shot.
I feel like
in
that's
my
probably
life.
a good thing on some level.
It's not, because they're fantastic looking boots. They're very
Sure, the
rarely
Nazis
any
were very
better.
snappy dressers, but I
mean,
don't necessarily want their apparel to be
They should
readily
just hire me to
available
do the
either.
Space Force dressing. Like, sweet, I'm just gonna rehash this. I mean, it's what they did in Starship Troopers. You can't say that the intelligence officer did not look like a German officer. That's totally what they did. The storm coats.
Yeah, no, they definitely.
Yeah. And
Well,
guess
so
what?
but
It
you have
looked
to know the
awesome in
background.
Starship
You have to
Troopers,
know the
too.
background to Starship Troopers though for that, because in the book it is a fascist regime that
Yeah.
rules Earth. So like they purposefully make them look more like Nazis
got
in
an
Starship
idea.
Troopers because they are fascist.
Let's do a capitalist government with fascist uniforms. Classy. Because you can't deny the leather storm coats, the sweet boots, the poof pants. Who doesn't want poof pants? Come on.
I wore bell bottoms in the military. I could tell you, I don't want bell bottoms.
Those aren't poof pants. Those are the junipers where they pop out at your hips.
Yeah,
Bell
no, I'm
bottoms
just saying.
are a different kind of poof pants.
They are
But they
different
are a
kind
type
pants.
of poof pants, and I wore bell bottoms, and I was like, you
Bell
know what?
bottoms piss me off.
don't
That's
want
why
it.
I didn't join the Navy.
They personally offend me.
That's
didn't
the
like the
reason.
uniform.
That's the only reason.
Didn't like the uniform. Didn't like the
I don't
outfit.
I don't like the uniform. I'm out.
So
I'm not sitting here like Navy purist or like, oh, I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, I was in the Army and like I pipe up, we won't hold it against you. Like, I'm not one of those guys like, cool, you joined the Army to me. But like,
if you weren't in the Navy, you ain't shit.
I will definitely say those dress blues better than any dress blues out there. In the Navy dress blues?
The Navy dress
like,
blues
I'm
do
not
look
one to
really
The
nice.
keep
Navy
them-
dress blues are no.
I'm talking about the dress whites. Those things are a mistake. You put those things on, and like
okay.
in 5 minutes after you put on the dress whites, it literally looks like you had sex with a boot full of relish. Like there's just everything everywhere. Like someone handed you a hula hoop covered in barbecue sauce, and you went to town. You're like, oh, it's the whole thing. Like, try being on a dirty metal ship, and they're like, time for a dress whites inspection. You're like, cool, buying a new pair, because those things have been in your rack, and I'm pretty sure rats just screwed all over the thing.
So I was in the Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I still think the best dress uniform is the Marines.
Oh, the Marines have.
So
a
okay,
They have a fucking sword.
They do.
so do the Navy.
Not all Marines have a sword, but
Yeah, so
it's only,
so does
it's
the
only
Navy.
NCOs.
Yeah, same thing with the
Because-
Navy.
But
I believe the officers have sabers. And there is a distinction.
NCOs.
Yeah, and everyone else has cutlass.
Yeah,
Same thing in the Navy.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's the
I
same.
never
Because you
saw a
want to know
Navy
why?
with a sword.
It's the same history.
I get it, right? But you gotta admit, I saw a dude in the Marines, Class A uniform,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like,
You're like, God damn,
that's
that looks
tight.
good. Yeah,
that's tight.
it's even better looking than the.
I
German
gotta
uniforms.
go with the dress blues for the Navy because it's
Well-
like straight crackerjack. Like
dungarees and such.
no, not those.
Not the dungarees?
No.
Okay.
Those are like the working uniforms.
Those are blue too, though.
Yeah, no. So think of the dress blues. Is they're black. They're
What is the
they're,
thing with
they're
the,
basically
like,
black.
What's the thing with like the bibby thing that comes down on the back? and
bibby?
front? Yeah, it's like the flap.
Okay, so
the Popeye
so there's
thing?
yeah, okay. So the back
Yeah.
is literally called a grease flap.
Okay.
So
Isn't that what schoolgirls wear too?
yeah,
God,
so
that does it for me. Right?
the reason
You
why
saying that is better than the Marines one?
you're looking at the
Boy, this is getting real weird.
yeah, it is getting real weird.
Really?
Do the junior enlisted one. Not you're
Our
looking
folks
at
can't
NCOs.
see what we're looking at.
You're looking
That's
at
why
NCOs.
it's weird.
Yeah,
So-
but anyway, and then the neckerchief.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neckerchief.
Yeah, you
is-
can't just type junior in there because it's gonna give you some weird shit.
Yeah.
Like the fucking the Popeye fucking.
That's the Australian Navy.
Yeah, you literally clicked on Royal Australian Navy. So
What are you doing?
What? No, it was funny.
All right. Anyway, so
that's a video game.
that's a video game. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I
The
think
flap.
we've.
So literally, sailors would actually grease up their hair,
Yeah.
and you'd have to have an extra part to hide. So what they would do is they tuck it in, and the grease and like the hair pomade would get stuck on the uniform. Then they'd take the flap out and cover it up, so they looked good.
Look at that. Naval history.
Yeah.
Huh.
There was also another really cool thing that was in a what do you call it? Cool Hand Luke. What's his name?
Luke.
No! What's the actor's name, damn it?
Oh.
I'm brain farting left and right right now. But there's a movie where he was
We're
in
really
the Navy.
struggling through the end of this one, guys.
And he flipped
Fuck me.
there was something that was super not allowed. And people would stitch their own designs in like crazy mosaic designs in the inside of their cuffs. And there were like little clubs like that where you'd show the inside of your cuff and there'd be like some dragon.
I believe the
you just looked that up.
I believe no, I didn't. I'm texting.
Okay.
I believe the legions call them warrior cults.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
The lodges.
The warrior lodges. Thank
Was
you.
that your last word, CJ?
That was my last word. My
Alright,
uniform's
good.
almost done.
Ryan?
I don't have.
Ryan explained naval tradition.
Yeah, well,
All
no,
right.
there's
All
so
right.
much. Anytime they want to save $20, it's tradition. I'm not joking. It's like the old cop out of your dad who's like, "Hey, go shovel the walk." You're like, "Why can't we have a snowblower?" Builds character. It's the same thing. In order to save about $100, it builds character. It's tradition.
So my last word. Moving on. My last word is I'm super excited to play Age of Sigmar Soul Wars. Please come play with me. I want you.
The game.
No, shut up. Get out. This is my last word. Get the fuck out. Come play with me. I want to play Age of Sigmar. I want to play. I'm talking to my hand, Ryan. I want to play Age of Sigmar Soul Wars. I've got the box set ready to go at the shop. Just come down and play it. I want to. If you haven't played Age of Sigmar, if you've never played a miniature game, it doesn't matter. I will teach you how to play it. I really want to play this game. Come play games with me.
I want to play New Age of Sigmar with you.
No, I don't want to play with you, Ryan.
Why?
Anybody but Ryan.
No! I mean, my point was we stomped all over CJ's last word.
Yeah, but that's,
Yeah, we
that's
did.
CJ.
We shat all over mine.
You were like, "This is my last word," and everyone's like, "Bro, pile on."
Everyone's like, "Fuck you, Nazi."
Navy
Like,
uniform.
You and your fascist uniform, get out!
My last word is 4 more episodes until I get to go to Gen Con.
Yay!
For me.
It'll be
super
episode
excited,
22.
right?
Yeah.
So super excited about that. I'm gonna play lots of D&D. If you guys want me to go and explore and try out a new game that maybe you've heard about that's going to be there, let me know. I'll go find it and give you a report.
Wrath
All
and
right.
Glory.
Wrath and Glory. That will happen. That definitely will happen before Gen Con. I promise.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
Oh, that's right. Okay.
that's everybody, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
All right. Have a beautiful time.
Thank you all for staying with us from this rambling train wreck of an episode.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Have a great
Bye.
time.
See you next week,
Have a good
everybody.
time.
Goodbye.